Kaya fm95.9. Yes, a song that was selected by Mrs. Ambassador, Mrs. Seokolo, the wife of the ambassador from whose residence we are broadcasting live this Heritage Month special. Gloria Horseman, Amakwati, track which really takes me back to a time that I can celebrate as well. And before that was Sam Chabalala, Paris-based South African star with Pumelena, Asking for Love of Sam's latest.
All right, so I was, firstly really excited to be here with you, have you do the show, discover your work, and also thank you for talking to us, at the Kraal, which is this new cultural association. We felt a need to really promote this combination and exchange of French and South African culture. So one of the things I wanted to ask you was, how did Kaya FM begin, and how did you first connect with them? What was that first connection about?
Kaya FM was the first black-owned independent radio station to be launched in South Africa in 1997. We were the first one to get the license and go live on air. Shortly after that, other ones followed, like YFM and various other ones. So what had happened was I was DJing every Friday night at a tiny little venue in Yeovil, what was then in Yeovil, and
Rocky Street.
It was just off Rocky Street, and there was a man who used to come and watch me and listen to me every week, and he used to sit in the background. His name was Peter Makarube, the late Peter Makarube, and he became one of my live fans, if you like. It was also because I played every Friday. I wasn't even getting paid. I just loved it. People like Hugh Masekela would come. That's where I met him. Spongile Kumalo, Oliver Mutukudzi, Steve Dyer. They would all come after their gigs, and I'd play some songs for them. And then Peter Makarube came and said to me, would I be interested in getting a job on Kaya FM, this new radio station? He was behind it because he was a legendary producer who had mentored many great radio people over the years, people like Lawrence Dube, Mabena, and so many others. Sekale Machotsi, Peter had been their mentor, and he became my mentor, and that's how I started at Kaya. And when I started at Kaya, I remember we had a program manager who'd flown in from the States. Oliver Sutton, his family owned, they were a black family that owned 14 radio stations in the States. And he said, you can't play this music. This is an R&B station. And I said, I'm playing this music because I see people's faces when I play it live. So there were many detractors from the beginning. Nonetheless, Oliver Sutton became one of my biggest fans. We're still in touch today, even though he's gone back. And I'm the only person of the originals that's still left on Kaya FM.
And was it the World Show from the start?
It was the World Show from the start. I did various other shows along the way, but the World Show is the one I started with and continue with today, 22 years later. And it's one of the few shows in the country where I play entirely my own selection of music.
Do you consider it has a heritage dimension?
It definitely has a heritage dimension, and I felt very strongly about that when I first started, because South African music had never been elevated to the level that it deserved. So I would sell it by playing great artists like Salif Keita or like other great international artists and say, and this is the as great kind of thing, Pops Muhammad or Sibo Gomedi or whoever it was. And, it's always been an interest of mine to also showcase those who've never been exposed on air, but also to honor the greats with that.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, you obviously knew of Brotherhood of Breath and Chris McGregor.
Absolutely, absolutely.
How did you find out about all that? And is that part of what brought you to Paris?
My mother, I have quite a background in music. I come from a medical family, but my father was a great collector of classical and opera. My mother was a total fundi and collector of jazz. And jazz, I mean, from Brazilian jazz, to her introducing me to Mankunku, to Abdullah Ibrahim, taking me to the Rainbow Club in Durban from when I was 4 or 5 years old. And then, of course, my nanny was Mavis. She's passed also. They all have. And she, played Radio Bantu. So I think that is my musical background. And I just play what I like. And my late mentor used to say, the blessing of you is that you don't, at that time when I started on air, you wouldn't find a Xhosa station playing Zulu music or Zulu and so forth. I just played what I liked. I kind of didn't have that baggage,
But then what brought you to Paris? Why a residency in Paris? Because, maybe you came earlier than the residency, but why a residency in 2018 at the Cité Internationale des Arts?
Okay, I've got a long time relationship with Paris. I first came here when I was a judge for the Kora Awards in 1999, and I represented Southern Africa, and that's kind of started my relationship because Paris being the center of African music internationally, like it or not. So I broadcast from Nova. I started my relationship with Nova way back as well. And last year I came, I was awarded it by the French Institute of South Africa, IFAS. My intention was to come broadcast my show, DJ, because that's what I do, and also do some research. My research is, strangely enough, on musical migration, particularly South African music in France, but it's kind of extended since then. And coming last year and doing that residency for 5 months, I started some projects and some affiliations, and that's why I decided to come back independently this year to realize some of the projects I've started realizing, but it's the next phase of them, and some I'm continuing to realize.
Okay, so we'll have a chance to see you again. As you said, you're back until December this year.
Yes,
2019?
I'm here until December, and I'll be back next year for the year of Africa, the seasons, Africa seasons, in French African seasons as well.
So we may well be able to see you at the Cité Internationale.
Definitely see me at the Cité. Usually I broadcast my show from there.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, well,
thank goodness for technology. I used to go to Nova, but now technology allows me to broadcast from my laptop.
Get it on internet. We don't
Absolutely.
have to over there,
Absolutely.
like
Absolutely.
Why the embassy? Why did you
Well, I think,
here tonight?
For a while I've been trying to connect with the embassy since I was in Paris last year. And strangely enough, it was earlier this year, I went to Mumbai and played for the South African embassy there for Freedom Day. They invited me as a DJ. And it was through my beautiful, the woman that I became my friend, Lerato, that connected me. She said to this ambassador, "You're the new ambassador to France. Don't you know that Nicky B is in Paris?" And he actually reached out to me, and we met a couple of weeks ago, and I invited him on my show, and he got back to me and he said, "Why don't we do the show live from my new residence? We're just moving in." And it was so exciting to meet an ambassador of South Africa in France who has such an appreciation of the arts and for the role that they can play in implementing positive change, that it's been a blessing to be here.
So
His name... Yes, he is Ambassador Tebogo Seokolo, and I thank to him and his whole team for having me here to celebrate the end of Heritage Month from the South African Embassy, Ambassador's residence in France.
Thank you very, very much.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you for your help.
To complete your project the way you